Here we are in mid-autumn in central Victoria, Australia, in my cottage garden, and I've had some time off work, so I've been very busy adding new additions. It's been quite sunny today, but we have had quite a number of cloudy days recently. So autumn is on the way. Well, it's mid-autumn, so officially it's here, but I'm waiting for some plants like this smoke bush to start changing into their autumn colours. This smoke bush, this is only its second year, and last year it didn't really change colour, it just dropped its leaves, so I'm hoping it does change colour this year, because that's one of the reasons I really like smoke bushes, because of that change in colour. This is a jasmine, a Chinese jasmine I think, and it changes a few little leaf colours too. I think they just die off on the vine and they go quite a nice orange, some of them. The table grape, which is a red grape, will also turn a kind of yellow and drop all its leaves. My cafe au lait dahlia is just continuing to flower with its really big blousy blooms. I'm keen to have a better frame or support for it next spring, because this one has just fallen apart. That's just old cherry branches. So it's the 15th of April, right in the middle of our autumn here. Today is a top temperature of 19, and we've had a few cold days recently, so a couple of days on the weekend it got to a top of 13. And was cloudy and even rainy. So today is a really nice day to have after those cooler days. This is a creeping phlox and it is flowering in mid-autumn. And the box hedge is putting on some new growth. I spoke about this having some flowers now, and that is an abelia. So it is supposed to flower in spring as well. This prostrate grevillea of some description flowers almost constantly, and the wattle birds here are always feeding from it. So being mid-autumn, the sun rose this morning at 6:49 a.m. and it will set at 5:59 p.m. So the days are getting darker. I've been thinking about a lot of changes around all my garden beds that I want to do. I'm going to keep this Sunday Fraise hydrangea here for another year, but if it doesn't perform, I might move it. This rose is new and it's doing really well now that it's autumn and we have some new buds on it. Something was eating it, this bud. But I think it's going to bloom okay. This is a lovely bud coming up here. And it retains that pink hue, I think, because it is cooler. I'm going to see what the rose hips look like. They might provide some interest, in winter. Oh, still not too good with this gimbal. Trying to drive it. I'll get there. The new ornamental grape is starting to change its leaf colour a little bit. See how this goes, this mode. Yeah. So maybe by next video that will be looking a lot red, more red. I am thinking about digging out the petunias and the angelonia and overwintering it in my glass house and letting these nasturtium fill out. They can generally survive all winter, although they do die back a bit with the frosts, of course. My lemon continues to thrive now that the hops has gone. So it would be nice if that puts on more height. So I think come May I will take out the buddleias here and I will plant the tulips, which I have chilling currently in the fridge, and some pansies. I have some new ideas for this bed too. I've decided that this candlelight hydrangea, which is being choked out by the pink Sunday salvia, it's going to be transplanted on that side of the snowball viburnum, because I have a propagated candlelight hydrangea here on this side. So then I'll have another one matching on the other side. So all of this salvia will be moved, and these calendula, I'm thinking of moving all this too. am putting the pink Sunday salvias there. So it'll be white and pink. And I think pink is one of my favourite colours in the garden. But these calendula I will move. I've got new garden beds on the go, so they will be really good at taking up some space. And in this bed, I was going to keep this Sunday Phrase hydrangea here, but I just don't think it will ever do well. I think the flowers will always brown because it gets such an intense amount of heat in the middle and early afternoon. So I'm thinking of moving that one to replace the candlelight hydrangea that I'm moving to this bed. The camellia is doing a lot of flowering, mostly on the shady side, I've noticed. And as I've said before, it will flower all winter. My Magical Revolution and White Ball hydrangeas, which I moved there not long ago, are still looking good. They both really like their new spots there. This rose has got some buds and is in flower. I like the look of the catnip, the nepeta under that rose. It does have a subtle fragrance and it is a pretty rose. I didn't plant it, it was here when we moved in 13 years ago. This is what I call the Scandi bed, recently weeded. These pencil pines, 1, 2, 3, putting on some really tall growth. Was it spring? I think I planted them, or maybe autumn. Anyway, they were less than half the size of that, so they do put on a lot of growth. My moonflower, I've had one flower bloom. All of these flowers that look promising end up aborting. They don't bloom. I have a feeling it's got something to do with the fact that we are in mid-autumn and the nights are getting very cool. And coming up in a few days, we've got a minimum temperature of 3 forecast, so it might even start to curl up its toes and die then. So I think I just see that one's going to abort. I think I just need to try and get it in the ground as soon as I can, and it really needs to flower while it's still summer. So here we have one of the brand new sections that I'm really pleased with. I wasn't even thinking about this as an idea, and when it came to me, it made sense, and I had to go and do it immediately, because in past videos, I've always said that I wanted to make this entire square lawn. But I struggled because of the weeds, the grass weeds that were growing in this area, which gets deep shade in winter and is even getting it now in mid-autumn. So it just came to me in a flash of idea that I should use the gravel I have been using, which is granite gravel, to make a little section here. These are our 2 bedrooms, so spare room and our room, and it just makes sense if we want to come out of those rooms to have something to set foot upon. I then went ahead and spray painted this old table and chair. I also aerated the other section of lawn and put top dress on it, and I've now oversown it with some seed that should sprout in autumn, and I'm just protecting it for a few weeks from the dog. So I think that will look really nice when it's done. The maple is just starting to show some change in colour, and under it I've decided to put a shade garden. So I've mulched it, and I actually sheet mulched that, so it's got cardboard and mulch, and I'm thinking of putting a Sunday Phrase hydrangea here and then shade plants under the rest, and see how that goes. Yeah, so that's all much more pleasing, and I don't have to worry about what to do with these weeds, grass weeds that used to be there. I dug them all out and levelled this area with a rake, and then just put the barrow loads of gravel on, and I did that all in a day, so it was very satisfying. And here I found another, this is going to be a bed, and I'm actually going to extend it down here and put Nepeta here. I bought a rose for this area. It is called Your Garden Rose. In other countries, apparently it is called, I've forgotten, something Rossi, Tonna Rossi or something like that. It's a beautiful pink rose with a very strong perfume. And I also found 3 rogue sweet peas popping up, so I put them there, and my husband put this wire climbing up this post. So I think that will work quite well, and I'm going to also underplant there some of the everlasting sweet pea seed when I get it in the mail. So there's another change we can see over there, so I may as well walk over there now. This has been tilled. We hired a tiller, and my husband tilled that large section of yard. But before we get there, I'll just explain what's happening here. So here's the shade garden. This is new too. I added this path with the gravel, and I'll back up. This here will be a gravel path which will connect those, and will also connect up to here So all of this will be gravel and up to there. I'll do that over the winter probably. And then when we see these lines, that marks a garden bed. So I'm thinking a garden bed here, and make this a garden bed, and all that garden bed, and that will be gravel. That goes off to the chook pan there. Now eventually down the track, we're going to be moving this chook pan to that area over there. And so this has had chook manure on it for years. So I'm thinking of making that a garden too. One of my goals is to have a garden that I can go for quite a lengthy stroll around in a circular kind of motion. So this is where it's all heading to. Down here, I showed last video my plans for this section, making it a section of lawn with steps here. And what we're going to be doing is sowing some wildflowers here, as well as where I've spoken about before. And this here, what I'm calling our fairways, we'll be digging a trench to put in some pop-up watering, and then in spring sowing this with grass seed and getting a nice lawn here. So all these wildflowers, but I think I could put some of that calendula in here, and certainly some of the comfrey as well, which I want to transplant. Yeah, so this continues on into lawn down here, and have a nice circle of lawn there. I think I will end up putting maybe succulents under those she oaks there. This is what I'm calling the silver birch bed, which I'm slowly sheet mulching, and I have started transplanting some comfrey out of the back garden, and I have also planted some bulbs here. All of these cosmos and hollyhocks and calendula and snapdragons, etc., they all volunteered themselves here, so I've just left them. And there is a new purchase. It is a liquid amber tree, which I've wanted for a while now, and so I bought one and put it in, and it has got some autumn colour. So yeah, next spring it'll be nice to have some good grass seed there, and hopefully a meadow full of wildflowers. This section will become a garden bed too, and it will be partial shade along the wisteria there, so I'm wondering if I can grow hydrangeas there. I'm noticing a lot of different birds in the garden eating the seed heads or the nectar. My smoke bush here is starting to change colour. I've weeded this new bed and it is awaiting plants like a blank canvas. I'm hoping to get a gold smoke bush and put it here. I think it'll contrast nicely with this one, and I'm hoping to get that soon. I have found a nursery that have them, but it's just a little bit of a travel, but I'm hoping to get that maybe next week. And we also tilled up here, so this also will be lawn, but the roundabout, I call it, where we drive our cars, that will eventually be gravel, probably not for a while. And this here will also be a flower meadow. So come spring, that should look nice. So I'm just starting to slow down. I did a lot of project work. There's another project I did too, which I'll show you soon. And now it's just about weeding and transplanting. So that's my focus at the moment, just kind of one bed at a time. So I've weeded this bed. I'm not sure exactly what I want to plant here except for the golden smoke bush, but plenty of time to decide that. The cosmos now obviously is in absolutely full bloom, but I do wonder if I should Chelsea chop it next season. It gets very tall and then it flops over. So a good Chelsea chop might avoid that. It's looking very cottagey. I am watering the two newly tilled areas. I'm trying to get the weed seeds to sprout so I can get rid of them before I sow the wildflower seeds. Beautiful sunny day, nearly midday. Apparently you're not meant to film at midday, but I don't think it's that bright in autumn. This is where I'm up to with the weeding. Looking forward to getting rid of this mess here. I'm tidying up the rose a bit. It's a David Austin climbing rose, which I think is called Lamarck. I've decided I'm definitely going to plant a rose here. It's going to be an orange rose, which I've just forgotten the name of. What's it called? Anyway, I'll maybe find it and put it on the screen. And I wanted an orange rose to match the brightness of the canna, which I will leave there for next season. So I think that will look quite nice. Remembering that this helianthus will be moved forward and this buddleia will be moved over. Lots of moving to do, but I'm just gonna take it slowly. I feel like I've got a good 6 weeks to get transplanting done. Yeah, so this is where I'm up to with the weeding. I feel that in the future this will be rearranged a bit and things taken out and things put in, but for the moment all I'm going to do up here is weed this magnolia, evergreen. It's doing really well, and the black and bloom salvias really like it up here. Now last time I couldn't remember this, it's a burning bush and it has suffered. I'm hoping it will recover and return next spring, and I'll see how it goes there. This is a grevillea, I believe, and it was very bushed out, so I've cut it right back, and it'll be fine, and yeah, it will be looking good in a few months. So the new crabapple is starting to change colour. Not that it has a lot of leaves. In spring I'll certainly limit up a little bit. Got some new plants here, agora and 2 barberries which I've spoken about before. I planted in this strip some daffodils. So I planted not the allium but the daffodil flower parade, double daffodil white lion and butterfly daffodil changing colours. So they're planted all throughout this top bed. I've got plenty of daffodils, but they were all the traditional yellow, and I just wanted something a little bit different. So when I take the 2 buddleias out of those pots along the back door, they'll be going up here. And in spring I'll do a lot of succulents in this bed. Now here I have another rose which I bought, a brand new rose, and it is just stunning. It is called Fairy Tale Magic, and it's got a bud there. It's a very beautiful old-fashioned looking rose with a perfume, and apparently it's quite the prolific flower bloomer. So I'm looking forward to that. May not get too much out of it now, but certainly next spring, something to look forward to. Got a bit of weeding to do here and spreading that mulch, and come spring I'll add succulents to that bed. Got another barberry here, and my California tree poppy. It's not looking that good, but I don't know if it's just because the weather is getting colder, or if I should give it a bit of a water. I don't want it getting too wet. It does feel cool and damp there. I'll keep an eye on it. The geranium Roseanne is looking really good. Everything seems to be enjoying the cooler weather. Here I moved echinops, here and here. They're white echinops from my centre garden bed, my island bed down there. They just looked out of place there. So I'm going to allow them to grow. They should grow well here in this unirrigated bed. And I've ordered some blue echinops seeds. I want white and blue in together. So I'll plant those as well. This salvia looks really good. I just have to keep an eye on the Ito peony, that it's not getting smothered. And it should start to change colour too throughout the autumn. The miscanthus is just such a showstopper here. And the desert hollyhock is continuing to flower. Pretty sure I will have to move it away from that miscanthus. It's just a little bit too close. So there's my rose campions. Didn't flower this season, but they should do next season. And here I have finally planted or transplanted some pomegranates there and here. It's hard to see. So hopefully they'll establish a bit over what's left of autumn, and then next season I'll be getting closer to my pomegranate hedge. I want here and around the front there. And the Hardenbergia. So back at the back of the house, and this bed will also be changing a bit. As previously mentioned, I'm going to move this candlelight hydrangea to the other side of that snowball viburnum, and I'll be putting a Sunday phrase hydrangea there to replace it, and then I'll have 4 Sunday phrase hydrangeas. So I just feel like that'll be quite nice. So, as previously mentioned, these pink Sunday salvias pop up all the time. So I'm going to plant a drift of them here. And I might try also a drift of the gomphrena, with the theory that once the salvias have stopped flowering in spring, the gomphrena might be ready to take over. I also have ranunculus in this bed, which is already starting to pop up, and stock. So I'm not sure if I keep some stock or move them. Anyway, that's the theory for that bed. Now, another big change is over here. I spoke last video about putting gravel on these steps, and I have gone ahead and done it in my time off, and I'm really happy with the result. And I transplanted another French lavender, so this will become hopefully a nicely filled out French lavender hedge. Yeah, so I was toying with growing dichondra in between these steps, but I think it would have just been a bit too hard. So this bed is pleasing me much more these days, but it will be getting completely reworked, I think, in winter. Lots of the plants will stay, but lots will be shipped out and swapped for other plants. Lots of oregano and marjoram. I just would prefer to have other plants in there, so a lot of that will be going. The Mystic Spires salvia does really well, so I wouldn't mind getting more of that. I really like these two salvias, but they flower at the same time and they're slightly clashing colours, I think. I'm not sure. So I might move one of them. However, this chrysanthemum is about to bloom, and I like that dash of orange contrasting with the blue and the purple. And my wisterias will also start to change colour. This is my best performing Sunday Phrase hydrangea, and it's still clinging onto its colour. I really like the repetition I have here of the seaside daisy and the nepeta, and I might repeat that along the shed garden at the back of the house. And this whole garden bed, which I really enjoy, it needs a lot of transplanting as well. My pomegranate here is looking really good and will be colouring up soon. This is a Gardenia Florida, which at the start of the season was looking a bit poorly, and all I've done is I've been watering it in summer every day, and just keeping the water up now in autumn, and it's just never looked better as a result. I just think they like humidity. Really do need to cut back the dusty millers. Behind that one I've got some campanula, which will flower next season, or should do. I was going to move this Hebe to replace the echinacea that I'm going to move, but I'm thinking of a different plan now. The zinnia have performed well all season, so I'd like to get them back next year, along with the cleome, which is a new favourite of mine. The straw flower I will plant only in the meadows next season. I really like this Bishop of Landreth dahlia. I was thinking of moving it, but I think I'll keep it there now. I like the contrast between it and the dusty miller. And here is this very striking Angustifolius helianthus, which I really enjoy, but it's too tall and overpowering there. It dominates my path, which I'd like to have more accessible next summer. So I'm going to move it over there somewhere for next spring. And I'll rethink these cannas. These birds in the bird bath, they are New Holland honey eaters, and they enjoy many flowers in the garden, including the Leonurus, lion's ears, and they enjoy that bird bath every day. So the anemone is still doing really, really well. It has never performed this well. It took me a few years to get it established here. I used to have a big tea tree here, and this is the first year without the tea tree, and it's clearly really liking it. So with the pathway more accessible next summer, I'll be able to walk in this area a bit more, which means I can get more footage in here of different flowers I have. And the fact that in here somewhere, I mean, look at this one. We hardly ever get to see it. And that is getting taller. And I have a crepe myrtle in here, which is hard to see. Here it is. So much cosmos. So this is going to be predominantly for dahlias, I think, next season. I'll pull out some of this lamb's ear, I don't need so much of that. And this comfrey, I'm going to move down to that new meadow along the fairway there to match what I've done here with the comfrey. This side will be purple comfrey and this will be pink comfrey. I really like the Evelyn penstemon and these penstemons, so I'll keep them there. I will keep the odd hollyhock, but a lot of them need to go. And I'll also keep the lupins. But where the comfrey is in the lamb's ear, I'll put more dahlias, and I might even try and plant some of my own seeds and see what comes up. These dahlias are quite new. They're just a mixed group of dahlias, but I am enjoying their flowers and they're really doing well in this autumn season. So here's all this comfrey which has to go. The creeping thyme is doing well too, which I'm growing in between my stepping stones. But I've got some changes here. I was talking about moving this echinacea and putting the white hebe here, but the more I think about it, the more I've decided that this Sunday Phrase hydrangea, it gets too much western sunshine in summer. So I'm going to try moving it over there to that shade bed on the other side of the maple. This is a rose, I'm not sure what type, maybe a rugosa rose, and I think I might try moving that. It's so tough and hardy, I think it could do well either in that new meadow or the silver birch bed down there. So moving that rose and moving the echinacea throughout the gardens, and then putting two plants only. The Penhill watermelon dahlia that I spoke about last video can go on that side, and on this side a Desdemona rose, which I think will tolerate the sun. So that's the plan for that. And in every other available spot, it will be a dahlia in that bed. So that is mid-autumn 2026. Just a beautiful day, and I suspect we're looking at the last few weeks of everything looking so good. And because of this repetition that I mentioned before, that I really like, This is becoming one of my favourite views of my garden.